Hello everybody and welcome to the Huntsville Huddle. I'm your host Dalton Meyer, and today we're joined by Hannah Baker, volleyball player for the Sam Houston Bearcats. Hannah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
So let's get into it, kind of the nitty-gritty. The way that I kind of do these interviews is I start way back. So tell me, how did you start getting into volleyball in the first place?
So I originally was a big softball girl. My family is big into baseball and softball, so I started off playing t-ball with little boys when I was 2. And then I moved into playing softball, and then when I was in 7th grade, I was asked to go to some random volleyball camp with a friend, and I didn't even want to go, but then I ended up loving it. And so then I played club for both sports, and then I ended up playing volleyball.
So why did you choose, volleyball over softball? Because you was talking about your family being a big softball family. What made you take the edge of volleyball over softball?
I mean, I think as I got older and things got a little bit more slow, and your dad stops pitching at the mound, I got kicked to the outfield, and I think it was just too slow because I need quick. My attention span's too short.
So talk to me about high school volleyball. You went to Deer Park, correct? How was the volleyball scene there? I know it's kind of hit or miss depending on where you're from. So how was high school volleyball for you? Was it easy? Was it fun? And, how did you get into it in high school?
In 8th grade, I was asked to go to play with the varsity for some camp. And so freshman year, when I got to freshman year, I started playing varsity immediately, and I was a starter. So high school volleyball was super fun for me. I got a lot of action, and I was a hitter then. Now I don't hit anymore, but I got to do a lot of fun stuff. And me and another girl that I go here with, Sam, that plays on the volleyball team, we both went to Deer Park, and we kind of led there, so it was fun. But our district wasn't very good. We were kind of slow and played a lot of silly teams. But when we did get to playoffs, I think we did pretty well.
So being a freshman on the varsity team, was there a lot of pressure behind that? Because, you're the young girl going into a team with a bunch of older people, and there might be animosity because you're the freshman. But how was it then? Did you feel pressure, or was it just kind of easy for you?
My mindset whenever I play is literally just go ball. I really don't have a lot of thought. I'm just there and I'm having fun. But I will say that I did get picked on a little bit. I mean, the way I would wear my Spanx, or if I was wearing a funny headband, the older girls would pick on me. But I did get, a few mean faces from taking people's spots. But other than that, they were welcoming and it was fun.
So did you ever make the playoffs in high school?
Yeah, we did.
So being a football player, high school playoffs is a crazy thing, and it's really different. So how was playoffs for volleyball? Is it as big? I know, in high school you'll see the football stadium is normally packed, the baseball field is packed, and volleyball just kind of doesn't really get as many fans, and it's kind of a shame because I've gone to a lot of games. They're really fun. So how's playoffs in high school? How'd you do, and did the atmosphere change at all from your regular games to your playoff games?
So for playoffs for volleyball, you go through a couple rounds. I think it's 5 rounds, and you make a tournament, and then you go to state or whatever. So the first couple rounds, you're just trying to knock those weaker teams out, so the crowds are super small. But a couple districts, they have big crowds, and they're way more fun. But even now at Sam, crowds aren't very big. So if we can get some more people out there, that'd be good.
So how far did you end up going in high school in terms of playoffs and in your tournaments?
My senior year, we went the farthest. We got to the round right before you play your game to go to state. So it'd be the 4th round.
Okay, and then I like asking this question to people in high school. Your last game ever. I talked about it before. My last game in football, it was really emotional, but I knew that I was going to play in college, so it wasn't as sad as probably the other players. So in your case, playing your last match in volleyball, being with your friends, kind of playing with them for so long, what was that like? How are your feelings knowing that you're going to play in college but still leaving high school and playing on that court for the last time?
My last home game in high school, I was so sad. I mean, we sat on the court for at least 30 minutes after the game. We took the net down, we cleaned the gym, and we just sat there and we kind of just chatted and to be on that floor for one last time. But then in playoffs, after that last game, I was doing everything that I could. I got 2 yellow cards. I was going crazy because I just didn't want it to end.
Yeah. So after that, once you're out of high school and you kind of get into the recruiting process, I always like to talk about the comparison between football and volleyball, but I assume the recruiting process is a lot different. So kind of talk to me about that. how did it go for you? When did you start kind of getting into that world of recruiting? And how does it work for volleyball? How do you get college's attention?
So for volleyball, I don't think for football it's through high school. Like your high school coaches are kind of like leading you through that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're strictly club. Like a college coach will call your high school to like kind of like ask like who you are as a person and how you do and like like your energy and stuff. But we have like recruiting directors in club. So if you're not like in club volleyball, like you're probably not gonna go to play anywhere. So I mean, what else do I need to?
Yeah, and the whole thing too is you hear about volleyball is club volleyball. So kind of talking about club volleyball, how is it different from high school? And for you, did you get to like choose which club you wanted to be in? Did they have to come to you? How does that work? And how important is it? You were kind of touching on it. How important is club volleyball for somebody that wants to go to college and maybe even professional?
I think if you're not like in the club scene from like a pretty early age, and it's going to be pretty hard for you to like get into even like a smaller school, because you really have to like kind of like network for yourself. Like it's really like you and like my dad helped a lot, like just like emailing and doing film and sending that out and like emailing coaches, I'm going to be at this court at this time playing this team, if you want to come play, I'm this number, so the jersey we're wearing. You really have to put yourself out there to like get attention. So it's pretty tough if you don't know what you're doing. But club compared to high school is extremely different. I think like you go and like there's like the tryouts are one day instead of like a whole week, and it's like teams, like you want to stack a team, and like so you can have one top team that's like phenomenal, and you can have your second team that's kind of like not very good at all. So club's important, and it's way different from high school, because I think high school is a lot slower, and you don't know where like these girls are coming from. If you're from a bad area, then you're not going to get super athletic girls. But if you go to club, you can go anywhere you want, and you can like make sure that you're putting like yourself for success.
So for your personal club story, when did you get into it? Because you were talking about being at a younger age. So did you start young? And you were talking about trying out. Were you nervous? Because it's something that as you were saying, how important club is. Is it something that you got really nervous? How'd you do? And how was your club career compared to your high school career?
I started playing club when I was like 11, and I played up. So I played on a 12s team when I was like around 11, and I played for the same club for my whole entire career. But like tryouts are like super nerve-wracking. I would like poop my pants before every tryouts, because it's like you're in and you're out. Like it's like 3 hours, and you gotta like show your stuff in those 3 hours, or like you're done. And then the same day they tell you exactly what team you're on in that day.
So once you're in the club and you're playing, what colleges were talking to you, and what would they say to you? Would they come up to you after a match? Would they kind of email you? How did that work in terms of once you're in the club life and competing?
So I think, I'm not sure what age college coaches can actually start talking to you. It's like maybe 15 or 16s, but we have these dead periods where like you can't, like coaches can't come up to you or contact you, and so like it's kind of like you have to go through like your recruiting director. And I started my recruiting process pretty late, so I wasn't talking to many schools, and I really wanted to stay close to home. So the schools that I were talking to, like they weren't super big. I think the main two schools I was talking to were SAM and then ACU. Was
there a college that you kind of had dreams for? Like, what do you know which college is kind of the place? When you talk football, Alabama, you have those schools. What's a school that is kind of the place to go for volleyball? Do you have any places that or a dream school that you wish you could have gone to?
Looking at it now, like there's some schools that I wish like I would have maybe tried to contact. I know like Tech has a super fun like atmosphere that I really like, because I like to play like fun and bubbly and free. But some bigger schools are like I don't even know.
So once you get to Sam, you're here, you've made that transition. Kind of talk to me about your freshman year, even before freshman year, first moving into the dorms. How was it? Because I know you personally, you kind of like being at home and being with your family. So that first move into the dorms, how was it for you? You were with your friend from Deer Park, and you're best friends with her, but still, leaving your family for the first time into the dorms, how was that?
So the week before I was supposed to come to Sam, I got COVID. So all the freshmen moved into the dorm and I was still at home for like 2 weeks by myself. So then I had to come and try to like catch up with everybody else with workouts and just like meeting people. So I was pretty nervous about that. And then I was like living by myself, so I had to be like excluded. So that was hard. And then every weekend that I could, I would just go home because I am a big homebody. So I just like to be at home. But then once I got into it, and like especially now, like I like to be down here.
So once you were, once you're in it, you're in college volleyball. How was those first couple practices? You want to go out there and make a statement, show that you can play, but you also, you don't want to take a step ahead. So talk to me about that first couple weeks of volleyball, getting with your new team. How was it? Were you trying to gel with your teammates? What was your strategy going in? Because, you want to kind of bond with this team, but you don't really know who's who yet.
So I'm super awkward. So like going into like a bunch of girls that are older than me is kind of like nerve-wracking, but I think that it was okay because Sam does a good job about making sure we have open gyms, and so we go in with just the girls and no coaches, and we just kind of get to play around. Like there's no really structure to it. Like we'll play threes and we play this drill. It was like only back row attacks, and like every time the ball goes over you have to rotate, so we're constantly moving and everybody's running around screaming. And so I think that like doing stuff like that is like they kind of welcome you, and like you're not as nervous when you get into practices because like you've touched a ball, like you're getting chemistry with other girls and stuff like that.
So you said in high school that you were a hitter, and I know now you're a libero. And so for people that don't know what a libero is, it's funny, the way that I remember it is you're the one in the different colored jersey. So first off, why do you have to wear the different colored jersey? And second off, did you start playing libero here? Is that where they moved you? And how was the transition from playing from one position to it's seemingly a very important position, given that you're kind of the one in the different colored jersey?
So when I was playing 16s in club, they told me that if I wanted to play D1, then I couldn't hit because I was too short, which if you put me in a game now, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do my thing. But that's what they told me, so I switched, and like that was really hard for me because I think like being a libero, like you're not getting like the celebrations, you're not getting the action because all the reward goes to the person that's putting the ball down, and I'm not doing that. I'm just starting to play for everybody else. And so a libero is just a defensive specialist, and like I'm different from a DS because I wear a different colored jersey, which means that I can go in and out of the court without having to sub in. So if you're watching a volleyball game and kind of by the net, like you'll have to go up and you'll have to like be subbed in. You have to wait for the ref to like blow the whistle and switch it, and they got to write it down and all that stuff. But since I'm in the different color jersey, I can go in and out for whoever whenever I want. But technically, like if things are going well, I'll just switch out with a middle and I'll go in to serve because our middles are usually our big girls and they can't bend their knees or get very low. So I'll go and I'll play defense and I'll serve for them.
So you went through your freshman season, and so kind of tell me, what was your favorite memories? Was there hardship? I got to go to a couple of the games. They were fun to watch, but, who were players that you looked up to? And then just kind of talked about the season and how it went.
My freshman year was, I still call it like it's not a true season because we did have to play in the spring instead of the fall because of COVID. So I kind of look at like this past fall that I played as my true like first year of playing college volleyball because I got to play a full season like in a big conference and stuff like that. But some girls that we lost last year were like Ashley Lewis and Brianne Chauncey, and like I think that they were our captains, and like now trying to like fit into that leader role, I look up to them and like trying to like do some things that they did, but also like kind of add like my own way of leading.
Yeah, and then your next year, your true fall year, which you say your true freshman year, y'all won the WAC championship. So kind of talk to me about winning that. How was it? And then the next question is after that is, you kind of talked about it yourself. You're kind of stepping into the leadership role. What's like your strategy going into that this next year? How are you gonna approach your team, and how are you gonna handle situations? Because being a captain is such an important position. So talk to me about your WAC championship win and then being a captain.
Okay, winning the WAC. My whole life I always felt like I would always get right there, like when you're about to like do something big, and then like we'd fall short. Like even in club, like you can win rings and you can win championships in club and go to nationals and all this stuff. And I feel like our teams are always super good, but we'd get right there and then we kind of fall off. And then even in high school, I told you like my senior year, like we went to like the regionals or whatever that is, and like we fell off. Like we were right there. And then my freshman year, we got second in the Southland, so like we got to the championship and then we fell off, and so it was just kind of heartbreaking. And so this year, like getting in, especially like at SFA, like that was a big deal, and that celebration was amazing. I would go back and watch it all the time, and I'm so excited to get my ring. But The next question was like going into like being a leader.
Yeah, just like what's your strategy?
I think as a libero, like we're always taught to just, you have to have a constant voice. Like I'm a big chatterbox, and like I have to be yelling and screaming and talking to like my other players at all times, telling them where to go, what's open, where to serve and stuff like that. And so I think like just trying to like keep a constant voice and just, be with my girls and keep everybody together, like trying to do stuff like that.
Well, I'm excited for this next year. It's going to be fun for me to watch, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
It was a great honor. This was the Huntsville Huddle, and of course, we will see you next time.